let's talk about the corporate sector. So because you have worked like in the government and the corporate, how do you see the difference, like especially as a woman working in the both and then the development as well, development sector as well? जहाँ सारे women empowerment की projects और चीजें. So how do you see like this triangle?
So where I am now, I would say is the safest I've been psychologically, right? And they say that leadership mein psychological safety is everything. Because if you want to create productivity, if you want to create creativity, you have to feel psychologically safe, which means no put downs. It means that if somebody wrongs you, there's a recourse. It means that you're more or less allowed to do what you want in terms of providing your job description to the end. And that, there's no hostile environment. So I would say, I think Cocolam, perhaps because it's hundreds of years old, allows that learning experience for people to just do their thing and not upset them, So it's wonderful. And honestly, this is the best place I've ever been at. Overall, the corporate sector is also safer than any other sector, which is strange because you would think that the development sector is psychologically safe. But that hasn't been my experience. And maybe it's just anecdotal. Government, I felt, was very problematic.
I'm sure.
Simply because it's a bit of an illusion. देखिए corporate में ये होता है कि whatever you're feeling, you're seeing, it's written. There's a certain amount of transparency in it. कि जो आपको power structures नज़र आ रहे हैं, more or less वही होंगे. Cultural differences होंगे, लेकिन ज़्यादा नहीं होंगे. Government में, there is always like a group of people who don't have the titles, who don't have the mandate, but have a lot of power. And they can really, yank the rug from under you. I was in my 20s when I joined the government. And I really thought I was making a difference because I thought वो initial वाली dream 20 साल की okay मैं पाकिस्तान government में हूँ तो अब मैं अपना कुछ कर लेंगे और अपना role play करेंगे और दुनिया फतह कर देंगे, right? Turned out, no, that is not how it works. In fact, they're quite irked by young women being a DG, right? Okay. And there were a lot of government people who had worked really hard to get to that rank, which I was given as a private sector person in this experiment of private-public partnership. So they made it outwardly very welcoming, but inwardly very toxic. The same story. The bureaucracy, the delays, the sort of character assassinations.
So you've seen that there.
Yeah. I found out much later what was being said about me because after I was asked to exit, I was like, oh, okay, that's why it happened. But it's the same kind of politics everywhere, but it's just hidden or it's just addressed better. I think हम ऐसे कह सकते हैं कि this is like a closed vacuum, the government, right? Where there's dissipated power and there's no accountability, frankly. But there's also an opportunity to do amazing things. And like Pakistan, it's a microcosm. इसमें बहुत अच्छे लोग भी हैं.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like the protections that I got from, people who didn't need anything from me but was just wonderfully nice. And I feel like they're hidden within the bureaucracy, holding this country accountable, keeping it clean. Yeah. And honestly, मेरी जो admiration है पाकिस्तान के लिए वो ज़्यादातर मेरे government experience से आई है because they don't need to be good and they're smart enough to exit, but they stay there. It's almost like they feel obligated to hold the pillars together. And as far as the development sector, aid to movement का तो आपने नाम सुना हुआ है. लेकिन development sector is very well-meaning. But the problem is that when you go out to fix a country or to, civilize it, somehow the local norms get challenged. And somehow you don't go together with the community. It's some kind of idea that's being imposed from outside and there's resistance. और फिर जो आपके locals होते हैं जिनको हम coconuts कहते हैं, right? The people who are brown from the outside but white from the inside. They try to stifle the development funds into their own biradari system, right? So that has been a little disappointing.